Okay, wonderful. We are live now on YouTube. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this first episode of the Sacred Planet podcast. Just checking all of my technology pieces here, making sure everything is up and running. Welcome. So as you're joining, whether you're joining on Zoom or you're joining on YouTube, go ahead and put your name and location into the chat and into the comments so I can see who's on and where you are calling in from today. And I have so much to share with you today. Very exciting, very beautiful information about the power of astrology to answer your most esoteric questions. So welcome, Kanika in Australia. Kanika, we're going to look at your chart today. Wonderful. I'm so glad you could be on live with us. Welcome, Zohar in Israel. Welcome, Vicky in Belgium. Vicky, we'll look at your chart today too. So glad to see you're on. Welcome, Heidi in Wisconsin. Welcome, Virginia in Pennsylvania. Welcome, Nathalie in France. Hi, Nathalie. Welcome, Jean-Pierre in Zurich, Switzerland. Welcome, Lauren in Boston. Yes, very exciting. Welcome, Sharon in Wilson, North Carolina. Tuscarora in Lumbee Lands. Beautiful. Welcome, Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Welcome, Lauren in Florida. Marilyn in Chocheneo, Ohlone Land in California. Beautiful. Welcome, Valerie in Ohio. Wonderful. And everybody who's on Zoom, please make sure that you're in the blue drop-down box right above the chat, that you have selected everyone. If it's set to hosts and panelists, I'm the only one who can see your comment. But if it's set to everyone, everyone can see it. All right, welcome Sarah in Maryland. Welcome Gaby in California. And welcome everybody over on YouTube, watching live on YouTube. So glad to have you all here today. And hi to everybody that's watching this later as a recording as well. So this is an exciting day. It's the launch of the Sacred Planet podcast. This is the first episode of the Sacred Planet podcast, and we have so many more amazing episodes in store for you in the coming weeks and months. So I'm just going to go right on over to my presentation here and begin sharing. So welcome to the Sacred Planet podcast. And in this space, truly, we will be building a radical new world together. And I have brought together so many speakers for the podcast who are going to be bringing breakthrough information, groundbreaking new insights on how we can shift out of the old ways of doing things that are clearly not working in our world and really welcome in a completely new way of being and knowing and understanding reality. Okay, so first, let me just introduce myself for anybody who is watching who may not know about my work. I am Jocelyn Star Feather. I'm a visibility coach for visionary entrepreneurs, a spiritual alchemist and astrologer. I am the creator of the Soulful Summit Mentorship, where amazing, wonderful visionaries and healers and teachers are creating their first summit or conference and getting their beautiful message out to the world in a big way. I am also a sacred site tour facilitator and the founder of Sacred Planet. And I share shamanic and ancient wisdom to guide courageous seekers in co-creating a revolutionary new world in alignment with Mother Earth and with the vast intelligence of the cosmos. And I have so much fun doing it, and we all have so much fun in the Sacred Planet community. So you can learn more about my work at my website, which is wearesacredplanet.com, and on my YouTube channel, which you're maybe watching right now. And so we have so many amazing speakers in store for you on the Sacred Planet podcast. These are just a few of the first that will be released very soon in the coming weeks. And here are just a few of the topics that we're going to cover. Incredible, beautiful, powerful topics. So I truly cannot wait to share all of this with you. So the way that it will work for the podcast is that starting today, June 10th, we will release a new podcast episode every Saturday. They will not all be live. Many of them will be pre-recorded. Some will be live, but mostly pre-recorded. So definitely subscribe to the Sacred Planet YouTube channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button right now to make sure you'll know when new episodes are posted. And I also strongly recommend registering at wearesacredplanet.com/podcast to ensure that you'll get notifications when each new episode is released. And so we're starting out by publishing our first few episodes on YouTube only, but by the end of July, we'll also be available on iTunes, Spotify, and all the other major podcast platforms where you normally listen to your favorite podcasts. So we have designed the Sacred Planet podcast to serve individuals all around the world who are awakening, connecting to higher consciousness, and wanting to learn more about all kinds of amazing topics, some of which I have listed here: quantum physics, sacred geometry, original and indigenous wisdom, cycles of time and what that means for the time we're in now, and so many other topics which are important and relevant on the life-altering journey of awakening. And what's really important to know is that we are living in times of just incredibly massive change. And we all know this, we're living it, right? So I invite you to really let the Sacred Planet podcast be the light that's guiding you through the chaos and the magic that we're living in now. Now, there are many, many, many sources of this light, right? There are many teachers and healers and visionaries and thought leaders who are bringing amazing information forward. And so I welcome you to let Sacred Planet podcast be one of those in your life and in your experience that is guiding you in inspiring and empowering ways through this powerful time. The impossible is truly becoming possible now. And we need to really lean into this, places that we've been stuck in our lives, things we weren't able to do before. It's really important to know that we are becoming more and more able to do those things now and to break free from all of our old patterns and old belief systems. Now, this change is not always easy. It brings along the dark night of the soul experiences that help us to get to the breakthroughs, right? But it's important. This time is really important. And what we're doing at this time, the way that we're healing and we're working together to build this new reality is really important, because we're building this radical new world together. So that is why here at the Sacred Planet podcast, we are going to bring you new and groundbreaking information each week to guide you in shifting your understanding of reality. And really, the important part here is up-leveling your perception of what is possible for you and for humanity as a collective at this extremely powerful time. So I ask for your assistance with this to help the Sacred Planet podcast grow so that we can support and uplift as many people as possible all around our beautiful planet at this time. Please take a minute right now, click on the subscribe button. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to this Sacred Planet YouTube channel. Click like on this video. That helps me so much. That helps all of us at the Sacred Planet podcast to get our messages out to higher and higher numbers of people around the world. And write a comment on YouTube to tell me which speakers and which topics you would love to see on the Sacred Planet podcast in the future. I would love to know, and we'll take your suggestions to heart. Okay, so let's dive in with today's topic, the power of astrology to answer your most esoteric questions. And so I'm going to present some information on why astrology works, what is astrology, and how can it answer our most esoteric questions that I hope will be mind-blowing and fascinating for you. And then I'm going to do some chart readings with people who have agreed to be on the call and give feedback. And so you can see in real time, as I'm reading this, these are people whose charts I have never read before. Does it resonate for them? Is it guiding them? Is it helping them to answer these questions? And I think it's going to be so powerful when we do that. Let me just check the chats here. Okay, great. And let me check one quick thing here. Hold on just a moment. I just want to check our people over on YouTube. So if you're watching live on YouTube, go ahead and put your name and location into the chat. I would love to know where you're zooming in from today. Okay, beautiful. Let's go back to the slides. There we go. Okay. So first of all, let's just ask and respond to this basic question of why does astrology matter? Why is astrology important and why is it coming into our consciousness so strongly at this time? You know, astrology is vastly growing in attention and popularity all around the world. So why is that happening? Well, since the very beginning of time, humans knew and observed that the events in the cosmos were closely tied to events here on Earth. And so by 3000 BC or 5,000 years ago, we know from historical evidence that virtually all of the ancient and indigenous cultures on every continent where people were living had already developed well-advanced forms of astronomy and astrology. So the people knew that it was really important to pay attention to what was happening in the cosmos because it could actually predict or have an influence on what was happening here on the Earth. Here is an example of this from 1279 BC. This is an amazing astrological sealing from the tomb of Seti I. Seti I is the pharaoh who had the Temple of Abydos constructed in Egypt. And so clearly we can see here that the science of astrology was well developed in significant detail by this point in time. So we know that they had been developing it already for many, many thousands of years before this to get to this point. And, you know, if you look at this sealing, on the top here, this is the decans. Okay, there are 36 decans in the zodiac. There are 12 zodiac signs, and each of those are divided into 3 decans. All right, so there's 36 decans in total, and that's a big part of how the Egyptian astrology worked. And down here we see constellations, like here's the Leo constellation. We know this very well. This is the Big Dipper. This ox with a man behind it. And there's various other constellations that we see today in our sky. And this is how they were depicted in ancient Egypt. Okay, and these are other stars and star beings here on either side of those central constellations. So very detailed and very well documented. Astronomy and astrology were known, practiced, and in development even tens of thousands of years before that tomb was created. And so the animals, for example, painted in ancient caves, such as the Chevo and Lesso caves, as far back as 32,000 years ago, point to particular constellations such as Taurus, the bull, and Cygnus, the swan, which is also known as the Northern Cross. And there are just countless cosmologies and ancient and indigenous origin stories that say very clearly that we came from the stars. Interestingly, the Pleiades star cluster in particular is very frequently mentioned as our origin point in the creation stories from every continent. So our connection and our relationship with the stars and planets, the sun and the moon, runs extremely deep and is very, very ancient within us. And astrology is gaining this incredibly rapid increase in attention these days, particularly after 2020. I think that was really a turning point in the mass worldwide perception of astrology, because in 2020, I can remember listening in January 2020, all the astrologers were saying they knew ahead of time, right, that something absolutely world-changing and catastrophic was going to happen that year. They didn't know exactly what, but there was like a range of possibilities, and we know what happened, and they were correct, and it has significantly affected every year after that, which is another thing that they said. Now, why does astrology work? Astrology works because of something that we can state in scientific terms now that is called quantum entanglement in our modern scientific language. And you know, this is something that is written in the ancient and indigenous writings and texts back to the beginning of time, recognizing that we are all one, recognizing that we are all connected. For example, Indra's net, this concept in the yogic traditions that everything in creation is part of this vast web, and we are all interconnected by these filaments, and every being is a gem, a shining gem on those filaments, and we are all interconnected with one another. That's just one of many, examples of the imagery from very, very ancient texts that were illustrating what today we call quantum physics and quantum entanglement. So quantum entanglement is a phenomenon in which entangled systems can be you, me, a planet, anything really that exists anywhere in creation, in the universe. They exhibit correlations that cannot be explained by classical physics. It has recently been suggested that a similar process occurs between people and explains anomalous phenomena, such as, for example, energy healing, or the experience of being very familiar with someone that you are just meeting for the first time, but you actually know you've met them many times before. And so when two particles, such as in the scientific experiments that have been done, such as a pair of photons or a pair of electrons, become entangled, which just means they've come into contact with each other in some way, they remain connected after that, even when separated by vast distances. And in the same way that a ballet or tango emerges from individual dancers, entanglement arises from the connection between particles. So the particles that currently comprise you or me or Jupiter or the sun or a star were once fused together in distant stars. We have all been together before. The atoms that make us up have all been merged, have all been together, and we will all be together again at some point. So in the meantime, we are all still quite intimately connected, and we all have a pull on one another. I love looking to ancient Egypt for images that explain quantum physics without any words. And here are a couple of those. It often involves serpents, as you can see here, serpents being the life force of energy that flows through all of us, right? The Kundalini energy, the energy of the birthing of a star, and so on. So on the left, we have two serpents, which are often shown as Isis and Nephthys, the two sisters that are holding the energetic currents that flow through all of life. And this is the life force that flows through all of us and connects all of us and vivifies us, brings this miracle of life into our 3D bodies, into our 3D forms, and brings life into every plant, into every animal, brings life into a star, a mountain, an ocean. This is this incredible life force that surrounds us and is part of us. And then over here on the right, I just love this image. This is from, the one on the left is from a pillar in Dendera temple. The one on the right is from a tomb that you can find in the Egyptian Museum. And it shows that there is energy coming down from above, down from the stars or the sun or the moon. And then we have the energy coming up from the earth in the form of the serpents. And that's what it takes to create life at the center. Very powerful, right? We are so connected. Now, getting a little more personal, bringing this in more specific to you, let's talk about your birth chart. So at the moment you were born, there was a certain very unique configuration of stars, planets, asteroids, sun, and moon. Those were all wrapped around the earth, okay, at the moment that you were born. And this split-second blueprint of all the energetics of the earth and cosmos at that moment was, I have here on the slide, imprinted upon your energetic and physical body, but it's even more reciprocal than that. It's like you were a part of everything that was happening and the exact qualities and energetics of the sacred architecture of all creation at that moment. And your birth chart, when we draw out your birth chart, it shows exactly what was happening at that moment that you were born into when you took your very first breath. That was a perfect match for your energetic nature as you came into this life. So as a result of this, alongside your own unique genetic makeup, you carry certain archetypes and qualities in a configuration like no one else in the world. Your birth chart is the document showing this, speaking in the language of the cosmos. And it includes all the details of your greatest challenges and your most expansive opportunities in this lifetime. Okay, so then that's you, and that's your birth chart, which was a snapshot at a particular moment in time when you drew your first breath. Then we have the current transits, and this is where the planets and the stars and the sun and moon are in the sky right now. And as we move through every day, they are transiting. So each transit that occurs in the cosmos throughout each day makes a continually evolving imprint upon us, and we feel it at a very deep cellular level. Some planets move faster, like Mercury and Venus, and the moon move very fast. Some move slower. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they move extremely slowly. Each of them have their own unique pull on us, on our emotions, and on the events here on the earth. So world events and personal events are created as we and the earth and the animals and the plants and everyone each uniquely respond to these energies. We always have free will, and at the same time, certain themes and archetypes can be pinpointed as the prevailing energies at any given time. So when there's a really strong Mars transit, for example, Mars brings the energy of like boldly moving forward. Okay, a pioneer energy, a warrior energy, like what it takes to get things done. But sometimes when we're having a really strong Mars transit, we might feel more angry, okay, or we might feel more anxious to take action, right? And then people might do things in a more rash and reckless way. All right. Or when we're having a transit, a strong transit involving Venus, Venus brings love and beauty and peace in relationships. And so, and romance as well, right? And we might feel more romantic. We might feel more calm and uplifted and like just taking a long walk in nature. It's so fascinating how these energies have a very strong impact on us, a very strong influence on us. Like it says here, we always have free will, but also these prevailing energies are really strong and we experience them in that way. Now, how can we use astrology for our highest benefit? The key is to use the positive aspects of our natal planetary placements for our highest growth and evolution, and do the deep work to heal any challenging aspects. And it's the same thing for the ongoing transits. We want to utilize the positive aspects or transits to be able to leap forward, to accomplish new things, to feel good, to enjoy life. And when there are challenging transits like the eclipses that we had in April and May this year, we want to use that time to heal, to go into the shadows if we need to look at things, old patterns that we need to clear, and work with that. It is all for our highest evolution. Just some of them feel more fun than others, right? One thing that's really powerful about astrology is that it gives us a much larger and more universal, even a mythological context for what's happening in our world. Right. And on a collective level, we can see the larger archetypal forces that are moving in our world at this time. So, for example, in 2021 and 2022, pretty much all throughout both of those years, we had Saturn in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. This was a very challenging aspect that created breakdowns, that created structures and systems collapsing and weaknesses, faults in our systems and in our own lives, things that we needed to change, structures that we needed to break down in our lives. It brought all of that to a head. It brought all of it to the forefront. But when we look at this in a mythological sense, in an archetypal sense, we can see that these breakdowns that have been happening over those 2 years, it's not just needless chaos and confusion. It's actually the breakdown of all that was not really working that we thought we needed, but really we don't, okay? Because we are meant to build something completely new and different in these years to come. So that breakdown had to happen. 2020, of course, being a part of that too, leading into this transit and many other transits involved. This is all for our highest evolution, even when it feels really difficult. So people who don't have that context as might be running around like thinking that it's a doomsday, it's the apocalypse, preparing for the end of the world. But with astrology on our side, we can see the bigger picture. We can see the bigger story arc and mythological arc that's unfolding. We can avoid going down that fear rabbit hole. We can work with the positive transits to help us. We can work with the more difficult ones to heal. And we can look for the positive, learn the lessons, and decide how to navigate these times with our sights set on the highest outcomes. And really, that's what we're going to be doing here in the Sacred Planet podcast is like, how do we birth the new world together based on what we know to be true from, this astrology being one part of this, and there are many other ways to discern what's happening in our world, right? How do we find the truth and navigate from there? Here's a quote from Thoth or Yahut, and he says, "The music of the spheres is orchestrating everything that is happening down here. The more we can resonate at the frequency of the spheres, the more we will be prepared for this journey and for what lays ahead." We're always being guided by the cosmos. And Thoth is one of the main deities in the Egyptian cosmology that created cosmos. He designed the sacred architecture. So we can trust in his teachings. And he is here on the left with he is the ibis-headed god in ancient Egypt. Now, astrology was considered a science in ancient times. It's very accurate. It's very detailed, and it's predictive. It can predict the likelihood of events in the world, such as times of war or times of peace. It can pinpoint the personality and challenges and opportunities of each person. And this is something that is just incredible that the ancient people were aware of and were tracking: the great ages, the long count, the great year, these much longer 26,000 year cycles that we see in the Egyptian cosmology, in the Mayan calendar, in the yogic traditions, and in the Incan and pre-Incan civilizations. Many different ancient civilizations were aware of these 26,000 year cycles. Now, it's truly incredible that they were tracking these with such detail, because the way that this works, okay, it's 26,000 year eras that we live in. And basically that means that every 26,000 years, we come back to the original North Star. The North Stars change over the ages. Every 26,000 years, we come back to the original one. And what that means is that every 72 years, the stars and the planets in the sky move by 1 degree. Now, 72 years is essentially one human lifetime. So in order for the people to have tracked this in these ancient times, they had to have very advanced technology to know when the stars had moved by just 1 degree every 72 years, right? And they were doing that, and they were tracking this, and they knew the full count was 26,000 years. And this is what's happening now, is that we are returning to the end of one 26,000 year cycle and the beginning of another. And that's why everything feels like it's collapsing, because it is ready to be built anew for the new era. So that was a little side note. But in fact, astrology is a sacred science because it blends the mystical with the purely logical in a beautiful way that our modern sciences fail to do. Quantum physics is the only one that comes a little bit close, because they're really exploring this interconnection between all things and putting that into scientific language. Now, when we read the ancient texts from a wide multitude of ancient languages and forms of writing from thousands and thousands of years ago, we find that the ancient people from every corner of the globe predicted now as a time of tremendous change and upheaval. That's because, as I mentioned, we're coming to the end of one 26,000 year cycle and the beginning of a completely new one. This is an astrological and astronomical sealing at the Temple of Dendera. And it tells us that now is truly a momentous time to be alive. And we know this, right? Those of us who are alive right now, we are feeling this intensely on all levels. We are living these vast and sweeping changes. And what's happening is that our world is presenting us with a completely new reality and new possibilities for us to lean into and follow as we move into the future. And so the coming years will be a time of huge up-leveling and positive evolution. And we're feeling this in our hearts, right? We know that these entirely new possibilities are breaking through, and we want to make the most of them. We want to bring them into our lives. We want to learn how to navigate them. It's like the magic of the far, far ancient times of 26,000 years ago, when they were deeply connected to the magic of the earth and cosmos. All of that is flooding back into our consciousness now and becoming available to us again. So let's really open our hearts and minds to all that is possible. Now, one very important thing that's happening at this time is that our soul purpose is being activated. So who here is feeling or receiving super strong insights about your soul purpose at this time? Or maybe you're feeling like the clarity is about to break through. Say yes in the comments if you are, and put yes in the chat. I would love to know. And I want to check again on our YouTube people watching. Hold on just a second here. Oh, yay. Hi. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Aqualuna, North Carolina. Welcome, Johnny in Maryland. Welcome, Mike in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Emma in North Carolina. Diane in New Mexico. Yay. Vanya in South India. Francine in Maryland. Monique in London. Yay. Glad to see you all here on YouTube Live. Wonderful. And yeah, type in the chat if you're feeling this. I'm just, yes, I love, Gaby says, hell yes. Yes, lots of yeses. Yeah, isn't it fascinating? I mean, it's like, I think a lot of us have been feeling this for a little while, but it's the surge of energy around purpose right now is just incredible. And it's because we're all connected, we're all in this together, and the earth and the cosmos are sending out the message, all hands on deck. Everyone is needed right now. I've had in my meditations now for a while, we need a tidal wave. My guide's telling me we need a tidal wave of humans who are ready to build the new world. All of our gifts and talents are needed now. So if you're feeling that, you're in the right place. This Sacred Planet community has so much to offer to empower you, to help you find the courage, to help you get visible with your gifts in powerful, fun, and fulfilling ways. So we'll be doing that here. But I just want to say, if you're feeling that, lean into it, trust the insight. Sometimes we can feel like we're going crazy when that happens. It's kind of like the next stage of the spiritual awakening is the purpose awakening, and realizing that you need to do things completely differently. You need to completely reorganize your life, or quit your job, or change your relationships around, and really trust it. You're not going crazy. This is part of the impulse of the entire world right now, that we know we need to build the new world. We need to build the next reality as the old one is breaking down. So really trust it and follow your heart, follow your intuition. You are so needed right now. Now, the birth chart, your astrological birth chart, which is the blueprint of the stars and planets and sun and moon at the moment you drew your first breath, can really guide you in this. And this is what I want to show today, and do some chart readings to help people get clarity on these kinds of esoteric questions. So these are the questions that we cannot answer with logic and reason, right? So questions like, why do I exist? Who am I, and what am I supposed to be doing while I'm here? What is my purpose? How am I meant to contribute to the larger storyline of what's happening with the earth and humanity right now? There are other questions too that may not be directly related to purpose, but have this esoteric quality to them, right? How can I overcome the biggest challenge in my life? What kinds of relationships am I meant to have? And how can I make them work better? Why do I feel so different from others? Am I on the right path? When can I take the big action steps? And so on and so forth. All right. These kinds of questions It's just incredible how astrology can answer these questions. And you can't get there from logical thinking. You know, we can get there from listening to our dreams. We can get there from meditations or working with sacred plant medicines. You know, there's a lot of ways to get there that leave behind reason and logic and tap us into the deeper fabric of reality, the numinous realms, the liminal realms. That's where we need to get this information from, because that's where the real truth is held. But astrology is a language that can tell us this, that can help us to decode exactly what the answers to these questions are. Now, how does it do this? Again, astrology works this way because we are each intricately designed as part of the sacred architecture of the cosmos, or the sacred architecture of creation. And everything that we came here to do in this lifetime, our purpose, our relationships, our challenges, our victories, all of it were reflected in the rest of creation that wrapped around the entire world, right? All the universe. The moment we were born, everything that we are was reflected in all the rest of creation at that moment. So powerful. And this is how the universe really works. This is what they don't tell us in school, right? Now, your astrological birth chart is a language that allows us to easily read and decode what was written in the sacred architecture at that moment. It shows us the amazing potentials of all that you came here to be and all that you came here to do. Now, it's really important to note, as I'm sharing this part of it, that astrology does not force us into anything. It does not show that you are fated to a certain outcome. You are not forced to live in a certain way. It is not determinative. Instead, astrology provides us with a spectrum of possibilities. So here's a couple of examples. Example one is that some people may have a really strong purpose or mission written in their chart, yet decide not to pursue it. And that's okay. That's their free will. Others will pursue it with all their heart and all their willpower. There's no right or wrong, but this is what astrology gives us. It shows us the opportunities, and we can decide if we want to follow that or not. Astrology also shows us challenges. So here's an example of how, you could work with a challenge. So some people may have a huge challenge written in their chart and may not learn during this lifetime how to heal or how to work with it, and it may continue to have a negative effect on them all throughout their life. Others with a similarly daunting challenge will decide to overcome it. They will choose not to let this challenge rule them, and during this lifetime, they'll be able to transcend beyond it and heal it. We each get to choose how we will live. So your birth chart is always going to reveal your highest potentials and your biggest challenges. And what's most important is that we work with astrology and any other methodologies or modalities that are calling to you to bring these aspects of our own truth into our conscious awareness. Because once we have made them conscious, we can work with them. We can work with all parts of ourselves much more effectively than if we're unaware of them, they kind of rule us. If we're unaware of them and they just kind of hit us out of the blue, right? So we want to bring them into consciousness, and then we can work with them in the most powerful way. So let's do these chart readings, everybody. I'm so excited to demonstrate this fascinating ability of astrology to answer our most esoteric questions. So let's do that. I'm going to stop sharing. And let's go over here. Now, let me just begin with a few notes here. So I'm going to be sharing people's birth charts on the screen. Those of you who wrote into me asking for me to do your chart reading today, thank you so much for submitting your birth data and your questions. And I'm going to assume that if you sent me that information, that it's okay for me to put your chart up on the screen and share it with everybody as an example. Now, I'm only going to do readings for people if I know that you're live on the call today. The reason is I want to get your feedback. I don't want to just do a reading and assume that it's right, that it's like resonating for you. I want to do a reading and hear from you in the chat. Okay, the chat on Zoom or the comments on YouTube. I want to hear from you. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you on a heart and soul level, and even on a logical level, you know? So first of all, I'm just going to make sure that we have the people on the call who I want to do the chart readings for. So I know that Vicky and Kanika, I know that you guys are on the call. So you guys will be the first two readings. If we have Tammy Stone, please, Tammy, can you put in the chat that you're here on the call with me? And I'm just going back to my list of people who submitted. If we have Harry Holland on the call, Harry, please put in the chat that you're here on the call. Allison Lingwood, if you're here, please put in the chat that you're here. And Diane Ivazian, if you're here, please put in the chat that you're here. As long as all of you are here, I'm prepared to read all of your charts. So I hope you guys are on. And you can, like I said, put that in either the YouTube or the Zoom chat, wherever you're attending. So yeah, I love all the yeses. Love all the yeses in the comments. That's fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to start with Vicky and Kanika because I know you guys are on the call today. And Kanika, let me do yours first because you are in Australia and it's the middle of the night for you. So thanks for being on with us. Okay, so let me share your chart and then I'm going to read the question that you sent me. So you had asked, you had said, my chart through your alchemical astrology guide shows me that I am an inherent healer and teacher. And this is the time for me now to launch my mission to teach others on the themes of spirituality and expanding consciousness. That is so exciting, Kanika. I'm so glad that you have done that level of detail of reading your chart already. And Kanika is asking, due to the volatility in the world, how do you see my mission coming into fruition in the next 9 to 12 months? Okay, let's take a look. So this involves what in alchemical astrology we call the cosmic timelines. So we have here your birth chart, Kanika. This was the snapshot at the moment that you were born. And everybody who is experienced in astrology, I read charts in the whole house system. If you want to know why, watch the astrology podcast episode with Demetra George, where they speak about this. The whole house system is the system that I feel is the very most accurate and was used at the most ancient times. Okay, so this is a whole house reading, whole house chart reading. Now, we have Kanika's birth chart here, and what we then can do is we can overlay or add an outer wheel of the transits that shows where the planets and the sun and moon and stars currently are in the sky. Now, I know this makes it significantly more busy, but what I want to show you is that, for example, today the sun is at 19 degrees of Gemini. And this is lining up really beautifully right between, Kanika, right between your Mars and your moon in Gemini, your Mars being at 12 degrees and your moon being at 26. So we can look at all of the movement of the planets as they are currently occurring in the sky, and we can see when really important lineups are going to occur that will shift your trajectory. That would be moments to take a big leap forward. That would be moments to take big actions, or in some cases, moments to do some deep healing work, for example. So as the planets move through the sky, they're going to come into connection with the planets in your birth chart in a very specific way. And when this is happening in alignment with a big conjunction, like two planets coming together in the sky, that's in alignment with your own sun, for example. This is a cosmic timeline. This is a huge moment of opportunity for you. So let me remove this outer wheel because I just wanted to show that as an example. I'm going to take a look at your chart here, Kanika, and I'm just going to see what cosmic timelines you have coming up that are going to be really important for you. So the first thing that's really jumping out at me here in your chart, Kanika, is that we're going to have a Venus retrograde in Leo this summer. Venus will be retrograde in Leo. That's over here. This is the sign of Leo where you have your South Node and your Jupiter, from July 22nd to September 4th. Now this, I'm seeing this as a really big cosmic timeline for you, Kanika, because that Venus retrograde is going to be very present with your Jupiter, and Venus is going to, let's actually see where Venus is. I think she might be, okay, Mars is actually directly lined up with your Jupiter right now, and Venus has just recently entered into Leo and she's moving forward. So let me close this out again. So Kanika, what's going to happen is Venus is going to move forward and come into contact with your Jupiter one time in a forward motion. Then she's going to go retrograde and go backwards over your Jupiter and then go forward again. When this happens, it's a really big and important moment for that particular planet in your chart. So your Jupiter is going to be significantly worked with by Venus from July 22nd to September 4th. And what's really important to know about this, Kanika, is that this Venus retrograde in Leo, because it's happening in Leo, it's very much about us finding the courage, finding the confidence and the boldness. Those are the big cat energies of Leo, to bring our mission and our vision out to the world in a very visible way, in a very powerful way. Now, with your Jupiter being there and being specifically impacted by this Venus transit, this is huge for you because Jupiter represents growth and expansion and abundance and optimism and like all the blessings coming in, all the good things coming in. A Venus-Jupiter conjunction is very significant, very powerful and beneficial because Venus brings love and beauty and ease and flow and a connection with our body, a deeper understanding between the body and the spirit. All of that energy is coming into contact with your Jupiter in Leo, the sign of courage and confidence and visibility. And not just one time, but Venus is going to touch your Jupiter 3 times, okay? So this is really big. So I think this summer is going to be a big transformational time for you. Actually, for you in Australia, it will be the winter from July 22nd to September 3rd, right? This is going to be a really powerful time for you where you will go through different healing near the beginning of that Venus transit, maybe in August, July and August. But by September, by the time that Venus comes out of the retrograde and does the final third pass on your Jupiter, you are going to be at this completely other level of boldness and confidence and courage, much greater than you've been before in your life. That's going to lead to you being able to do very new and different things going forward. Then the next transit that's really important for you is going to be happening in April 2024. And this, Kanika, is when I would recommend for you to take a bold leap, a bold step forward. The reason that I say that is Jupiter and Uranus are currently both in Taurus. And if I put that outer transit wheel up here, I can show you Jupiter is at 5 degrees of Taurus. Uranus is currently at 20 degrees of Taurus. Uranus moves much more slowly. Jupiter is going to come through here pretty quickly over the next year. And so what's going to happen is that in April 2024, Jupiter and Uranus are going to have a grand conjunction at 21 degrees of Taurus. That's going to be a huge moment for the entire world, but particularly for people with planets or points near that degree, near 21 degrees of Taurus. So you have your Vesta. This is the asteroid Vesta. Now Vesta represents the life force, the sacredness of the life force within us, the Kundalini energy that rises within us. So I'm not sure, Kanika, exactly what kind of work you're doing. If you could write in the chat what kind of work you do, that would be wonderful to know. But what I see here is that in April 2024, when Jupiter and Venus come together with your Vesta, only 4 degrees away from your Vesta, this is going to be a huge, new starting point for you where you would be able to take a big leap and be very successful. So if there's a situation where you need to quit your old job or launch your business or get visible in a whole new way, especially if you're guiding people in some way to do work with their life force, okay, or to maybe it's movement, with that Vesta in Taurus, this could be about movement, this could be about connecting with the earth, it could be healing, definitely like energetic healing. you are going to be very supported in taking a big leap in that way. Okay, great. So Kanika is an energy quantum healer and holistic health coach. Amazing. So you're working with people to help them connect with their life force and become healthier, come into alignment with that original blueprint for their own life force, right? Okay, so this next few months, July, August, September, are going to be huge up-leveling times where you'll come into a whole new realm of confidence and boldness and courage around your mission. And then from there, you're going to be building up to this moment in April 2024. In that month, you want to do something really big. You want to take a big leap. Like for my clients who are creating summits and conferences, if you were my client, Kanika, I would recommend that you create your summit to happen in April 2024. We are so supported when the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happens close to a specific aspect in our chart of taking a huge leap that we've never done before and landing on our feet and being so successful and abundant and expansive, and for that to bring us huge freedom and liberation. So I hope that's helpful for you, Kanika. I would love to hear in the chat if that resonated for you, and if those dates make sense to you. Kanika says, wow, Jocelyn, I got goosebumps really as I feel such expansive energies within me since the past 2 weeks. Thank you so much. It feels so aligned. Love your guidance always. Yay, wonderful. I'm so glad. So powerful. And yes, that Vesta placement and that transit that's going to happen there in April, that's huge for you. So keep in touch, Kanika. Let me know what happens with all of it. I would love to know. And take that big leap in April 2024. Don't hesitate. It's going to be really meant for you. It's going to be really amazing. Okay, wonderful. So let's look at our next chart. And this is for Vicky. And Vicky, if you could write in the chat, hi, just so I know you're on and paying attention, because I know you said you were on at the beginning of the call. And so let me look up what Vicky's question was here. So Vicky said her questions are, why do I exist? What is my purpose in this life? I really have no clue of who I am and why I am here. And why do I feel so different from others? Okay, Vicky, these are such powerful questions, and I'm so glad that we can address this through the astrology. I see that you said you're here. Yay, that's wonderful. Okay, so let me just take a quick look around at your chart, and you're asking, why do I exist? What am I supposed to be doing here? And why do I feel so different from others? So let me take a look. Okay, very powerful. Oh, Harry, you're here. Yay, we'll do your chart reading next, Harry. That's great. So glad that you're here. Okay. So, Vicky, I just want to say you are here with a really big mission. And I want you to really trust this feeling that you've had that you're different from others, because here's the thing. What I see in your chart, okay, is not that you are just so different or that you're meant to be outside of communities at all. You're actually meant to be a part of very wonderful, amazing, visionary communities that you're going to feel very aligned with. But it's just a matter of having it. I guess what's happened is that the people who've been around you so far in your life have not been aligned with your visionary and very empathic nature. And so they haven't been able to understand. But there are so many people, Vicky, out in the world who are aligned with you, and you're going to find them. You're going to find those communities. Now, what is really standing out to me here about your chart, Vicky, is that you have your North Node, which is the direction that our soul is pulling us toward in this lifetime. Okay, so this is a big indicator of purpose and like, why am I here? You have the North Node conjunct the midheaven. They're both at 13 degrees of Cancer and at the very top of your chart. The midheaven is our angle of career. This is our highest level career, our highest level contribution. that we are here to make in this lifetime. Now, the North Node and the Midheaven are very supportive of one another. They're very complementary of one another. They're both really big indicators of purpose and explaining to us why we're here. And yours are both at 13 degrees of Cancer. Now, Vicky, this is so interesting to me. I will share with you. I'll tell you about the archetype of Cancer in a moment, but one thing I want to say first is that 13 degrees of Cancer is the exact degree of the star Sirius. Okay, so the star Sirius is a beautiful, bright blue and rainbow colored star that we actually can't see in the sky right now. Sirius goes in the underground, in the underworld, and we can't see it from about May to July every year. And at the Lion's Gate time, the Lion's Gate, which is known in our modern times to be around approximately August 8th, Sirius will rise again in the morning sky. We will see Sirius rise just before the sun, just before sunrise, starting in early August. In some places in the world, it's late July. Now, Sirius is a very important part of the mythology of ancient Egypt. Sirius is tied to the goddess Isis. So when somebody has something that is very strong in their chart at 13 degrees of Cancer, I feel it's really important, first of all, for you to read more about the goddess Isis in mythology. She's right here with me in this papyrus that I have on my wall here. The goddess Isis is this powerful goddess of magic and mystery. She is the Great Mother. And you have her very strongly in your chart with both your North Node and Midheaven at 13 degrees of Cancer. This could be connected to the goddess Isis for you. So I recommend working with her and just seeing what messages she might have for you. Also, it could be connected to the Sirius star system in general. This might be telling you that this is part of your star family, is the Sirius star system. Now, those are those are related to a star, the star Sirius. We also want to talk about the sign of Cancer. The sign of Cancer, okay, is the zodiac sign where your Midheaven and North Node are. And this archetype is very much about caring, nurturing, mothering energy, parental energy. And so it's also very much about healing because it's about our emotions and how we feel safe. So Vicky, you are here in some way to guide people in connecting with their emotions, in connecting with and helping them to understand how they can feel safe. So I feel, Vicky, that you are here to do healing work, or this could be maybe therapy work or counseling or coaching work of some sort, to help people heal. Cancer is a very, very healing sign. Really, all of the water signs are, if you look at the water signs, they include Cancer here with the dark blue, and then Scorpio, also in dark blue, and then Pisces, also in dark blue. If any of those, if you have prominent points or placements in any of those, you are very likely to be a healer. You're also, especially with these planets in Cancer, likely to be very empathic. Vicky, I would love to know in the chat, what work are you doing now? Are you doing your own soul work? Are you working for somebody else? And is that feeling fulfilling to you? Or are you feeling like you need to shift and change that? I would love to know, because really with this Midheaven and North Node in Cancer, you're being called to support people. You're being called to do healing work. You're being called to help people work with their emotions and to help them feel more safe in this life, to help them feel more safe with all of the intensity of what's going on and the intensity of emotions within them. Okay, Vicky, Vicky says, I'm doing nothing because I've been sick now for 13 years. Okay. All right. Thank you, Vicky, for clarifying that. So then what's happening here, and I want to see where your Chiron is. Your Chiron is in Taurus. Okay. The reason I'm going to Chiron is because Chiron in our chart represents our deepest wound. Now your Chiron is in Taurus. All right. Taurus is about the earth and our 3D body, our 3D, it can absolutely include health. But the reason that I go to Chiron especially is because Chiron represents our deepest wound, and it's the wound that once we heal that, we step into mastery, we step into leadership, and we step into our true purpose work. So Vicky, I have a really strong sense that if you connect with Isis, she's going to guide you and she's going to lead you in how to heal from what is affecting and impacting you now and has been for 13 years. And I'm so sorry that you've been experiencing that. Does that feel aligned for you to connect with the goddess Isis? I would love to know in the chat. And what I believe here, what I believe is happening then, as I said, you are here to help others heal. You are here to help others work with their emotions. And I think you have been given this very intense experience so that you can learn how to heal, okay, and heal to the point where you feel able to serve others. And when you reach that point, you will be able to hold people in their intensity like few other people can do, because you've been going through that intensity. You've been experiencing this. And this is sorry for loud noises out my window here. This is an initiation that you're going through, Vicky. This is a powerful initiation. And I really do recommend studying more about Egypt. Egypt is very powerful in the mythology and in the lessons that come through about initiations, how to move through initiations, how to move through very, very difficult and intense situations. And so I recommend and I encourage you to study that and let Isis be your guide. And that is going to help you to emerge into a completely new place around your body and your health, so that you can receive the fulfillment of serving others and helping others to heal. I just want to see one more thing here. Yeah, so your midheaven and your north node are square to Saturn in Libra. And that's really important to know. That's why it's taking so long. Whenever Saturn is involved, it slows us down. So Saturn is slowing things down from you getting fully on this path of your purpose that is shown in the north node and the midheaven. And so part of the journey for you is to be really patient with the process. Really trust the process that you're going through, and trust that this initiation, this process that's taking a long time, is going to lead you to your purpose and is going to lead you to a place where you can be of very high service in the world. So Vicky, I hope that's helpful to you. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I want to make sure, let's see, why do I feel, and yeah, that question, why do I feel so different from others? It is, Vicky, I just want to come back to that quickly. It is because you are a visionary. It is because you are such a strong empath and you feel things so very strongly within yourself. And the people that are currently around you maybe can't understand that, but you're going to find the people that will. So I hope that's helpful to you, Vicky. I'm sending lots and love and prayers your way. Good. Vicky says it really resonates. I feel really seen. Beautiful. So follow that path. Okay. Yes, I hear you. I feel those emotions from you, Vicky. Thank you for sharing. I really recommend following that path of studying ancient Egypt. And I'll just put in the chat here, I have a course on ancient Egypt that is a donation based. Okay. So you can send any amount that works for you. If you would want to try out this course and see if it feels powerful for you, I'll just put that in the chat here. And you can connect with Isis in that course. You can also, of course, connect with her without taking the class and just, look her up and start studying her on your own. But I really think she has very important information to guide you. So I hope that's helpful. Lots of love to you, Vicky. Okay, so Harry, I know you joined. Can you confirm in the chat, Harry, that you're here? And we will go to your chart next. Yeah, thank you, Vicky. Lots of love to you. Let's see. Okay, and Tammy is here too. Tammy Stone. Okay, great. So we'll read your chart after Harry's. Okay, wonderful. All right, so Harry, I think I have your chart right here. Okay, great. And let me go back to the question that you had asked. Harry is asking, am I on the right path for my spiritual awakening? And what can I do to improve my journey? I love that question. And Harry, just so that I can understand where you are, what is your understanding of the path that you're on for your spiritual awakening? What's been happening with that so far? If you can write that just briefly in the chat while I take a look at your chart. So let's see. Ooh, 1111. Thank you, Cynthia. And I do want to mention everybody, and I'll share this on the screen while I think Harry is writing in the chat. If you would like to have a one-on-one reading to learn more about your own birth chart, I recommend that you come here to wearesacredplanet.com/alchemical-astrology-readings, and you can book a reading with Cynthia. Cynthia is Sacred Planet's amazing in-house astrologer. If you come to this page, you can see such a wonderful variety of different types of readings available, and choose the one that's right for you. And Cynthia's readings are just incredible. That's why we brought her on board with Sacred Planet, because she has this incredible perspective and she reads in the alchemical astrology system. So it's this really strong focus on transformation, like what we're talking about in these readings today. And Cynthia also brings in cacao ceremonies and herbalism as connected to the planets. It's really beautiful. So I highly recommend booking a reading with Cynthia if you would love to have a personalized one-on-one look at your own magical birth chart. Now, let me see, Harry, did you get a chance to put that in the chat? I think you're probably typing. Harry says, I'm a great listener and helping others, more earth grounding with nature. Okay, good. So let me see what we have here. Just looking at your major points. Okay, well, so yes, Harry, absolutely. You are here to help others. You're here to guide others. There's a few really important things that I see here, Harry. So one is that you have your sun in Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn is very much about the deep and ancient earth wisdom. So I think that you're spending this time with the earth, you're grounding, spending time in nature. That's really important. I believe as you continue on this path, Harry, you're going to begin to hear the earth speak. You're going to begin to hear the voices of the ancestors speak through the earth, and you're going to be able to carry their messages forward. Okay, with the sun in Capricorn, very close to Vesta, that is what I'm receiving intuitively for you, is that earth connection. Capricorn is an earth sign, your sun is in Capricorn. That earth connection is really important for you, and keep listening deeply, because the earth wants to speak to you. The ancestors and the wisdom of the land, even the wisdom of the ley lines of the earth, they're wanting to speak to you. They're wanting to share messages with you. So really open all of your senses to receive that. Now you have your north node in Scorpio. Okay, it's right here. It's at 27 degrees in Scorpio. The north node is the direction that our soul is pulling us toward. So Scorpio is about mystery and magic. So Harry, I would welcome you. I would recommend for you to see what aspects of mystery and magic might be calling to you. Maybe read a book on the subject. Maybe watch YouTube videos that are talking about ritual and mystery and magic and the unseen realms. Scorpio is a very shamanic zodiac sign. So with the North Node in Scorpio, you might be called to do shamanic work. And in fact, sitting on the earth and listening to what the earth has to tell you, that's very shamanic, right? Bringing the messages, the unseen messages through, and maybe eventually bringing those to people around you. We don't need to rush this. Okay, really trust the process. Let it happen slowly for you. But I do recommend with the North Node in Scorpio that you tune in to mystery and magic and the hidden and unseen realms in whatever way feels right for you. And keep in mind with the North Node, this is something we're working toward our entire life. Okay, this is something that can feel a little bit out of our comfort zone. It can feel maybe a little scary, or maybe a little like, oh, I didn't know I was going to go there. Because the North Node is it's the pull of the soul in this lifetime, and it's out of our comfort zone and into new territory that we haven't explored before. So if that feels a little, foreign to you or surprising, don't worry, just kind of take it slowly and lean into it in whatever way is right for you. Now, I want to mention that as I'm reading these charts, and particularly for your question here, Harry, I'm looking especially at 3 points in the chart, and you all can pull your own chart. I'll put in the chat the link to my Alchemical Astrology Chart Reading Guide for those who may not have it yet. You can look at your own chart and find these 3 points and interpret them. So the 3 points that most strongly indicate our purpose and what our spiritual awakening is guiding us toward are the sun. All right. The sun is how we shine our bright light, how we bring our mission to the world. The North Node is the direction our soul is pulling us toward. And then the third one is the midheaven, or the MC in the chart. The midheaven is our highest level career, our highest level contribution that we're meant to bring. Now, Harry, your midheaven is at 0 degrees of Gemini. At 0 degrees of Gemini, it's in the sign of Gemini, but it's right on the cusp of Taurus. Okay, so it kind of carries both of those energies. So with the midheaven in Gemini, this is about studying. This is about being the lifelong student who then probably will go on to become the teacher. The midheaven is always near the top of our chart, and it is how we're meant to be visible in the world. It's how we're meant to show up for others and help others. So what I would say for you about your midheaven in Gemini, Harry, is that it's really important for you to study any topics that are really calling to you. Gemini is just so curious about the world. Gemini is the eternal student, because there's so much to learn, right? There's an infinity of information to learn. And what's really wonderful about the midheaven in Gemini is that we are usually the student who then can become the great teacher, because we've learned so much. So I do think you'll be helping others eventually through teaching. But in order to develop that, what's really important now, Harry, is to study as much as you can, learn on the topics that really mean the most for you. And then you'll know what to do as the time goes on. I'm just looking to see if you have major cosmic timelines coming up. Okay, so yeah, so as Jupiter is moving through Taurus, where Jupiter is at 5 degrees of Taurus right now today, we'll be continuing through Taurus through the rest of the year. So between now and May of 2024, you're going to have Jupiter and Taurus making trines to your ascendant. Jupiter is actually trine to your ascendant right now. So this is actually an amazing day and an amazing week for you to receive insights, new information, new revelations to guide you on your purpose path and your awakening path. And then later, toward the end of this year and between January and May 2024, Jupiter and Taurus will be in later Taurus and will be trining your Sun, your Vesta, and your Mercury. And so this is about getting new insights and new expansion and growth in the areas of how you're here to shine your bright light and how you're communicating that. So there's a lot of really good energy coming your way from Jupiter, Harry, between now and May of 2024. And I think by the time we get to May of 2024, you're going to have so much more clarity on this spiritual awakening and where you're being guided. So let me know in the chat if that resonates for you. And Harry said, reading up on yoga and meditation right now. That's wonderful. Yeah, follow those studies, Harry, really do. Follow those studies and see where they take you. You're meant to be guided by what you are naturally drawn to study and what you're naturally drawn to learn about. So I'd love to hear if that resonates for you, Harry. Okay, and then in a minute, we're going to go to Tammy. Okay, Angela, thank you. Angela says, hooray for beginning a podcast. Yay. This is a great question in the YouTube chat. So Venus Queen is asking, what happens if we miss these major events in our birth chart? Well, the universe always gives you another chance. Don't worry, Venus Queen. If you miss an event, and that really does happen a lot, sometimes we don't feel ready to take a big leap. Sometimes we don't know what the action is meant to be, and we miss them. And it's okay. The universe knows, like our guides know, that we're just humans. We are still learning, we are still in this process of understanding what the reality is and how to work with the synchronicities and the information coming in. So they will always give you another chance. There will always be more cosmic timelines for you to take that action step. Okay, so Harry said, very much so. Thank you. That's great. Thank you, Harry. I hope that will be information you can carry forward to guide you here on your awakening path. And thank you so much for being on live with us today. Okay, let's do one more reading. So Tammy, I know you're on. If you could just say hi in the chat, that would be great, so I can confirm you're still here. Let's see. And I know, yeah, you said you're here, so I'll start your reading. So Tammy had asked, my primary question, what is my life's purpose and how or when do I act or move into it? Okay, yes, I love this question. So to look for your purpose, Tammy, we're going to go to those 3 points I was just speaking about. So that is the sun, the north node, and the midheaven. So let's see what you have. You have your sun at 26 degrees of Taurus. Now, this is important. This gives you an important cosmic timeline, right? A time frame to take action, which I'll tell you in a few minutes. But let's just focus right now on where the sun is in your birth chart. So the sun at 26 degrees of Taurus. Your sun is connected with the Pleiades. All right. Your sun and actually your Mercury as well are in the placement that lines up with the Pleiades constellation in Taurus. Now, this is really big. This may mean that you have star family connections in the Pleiades. It may mean that you're meant to study with and work with the Pleiades in this lifetime or both. But it's really important to know that your sun is with the Pleiades, which is considered in so many creation stories from all different ancient cultures around the world to be the origin point, the place that humanity came from. For example, there's one tradition, I think it is the Cree people's tradition, that states that there was an umbilical cord that lowered down from the Pleiades, and that was where we emerged from as humanity onto the earth. So beautiful. So I think that, Tammy, part of your purpose here, and we'll look at the other points, the North Node and Midheaven too, but part of your purpose is to really open up to what wisdom wants to come through the Pleiades and maybe begin teaching or sharing or writing about that in some way. And the reason I say that is because you have Mercury conjunct your sun. You have both the sun and Mercury at that Pleiades point of 26 degrees of Taurus. And so when the sun is conjunct with Mercury, Mercury represents our writing, our speaking, our communications, our intellect. So with the sun conjunct Mercury, this usually indicates that you're meant to be a teacher or a writer. Interestingly, with Venus here, Venus brings an artistic and a flowing energy of beauty. And so you could also be an artist with this particular lineup here. So Tammy, I'd love to know in the chat if you are an artist or a writer or a teacher or aspiring to be any of those things. Let me know in the chat. And I'll look out for your comment there. But if you're not doing those things already, I think one of those is definitely meant to be your purpose, writer, speaker, or writer, teacher, or artist. So investigate that if you're not already doing those. And if you're already doing one of them or more than one, do more. Follow your heart. It's going to be so fulfilling to you to do that. These are also in the sign of Taurus, which is about our connection to the earth. So I think that if you can spend more time in nature, if you can spend more time sitting on the earth or connecting with the earth in some way, you're going to get even more insights, or maybe the writing will begin to flow or the art will begin to flow in a new way. Tammy says she's all three. Okay, fabulous. So you're doing it, Tammy. You're doing the good work. You're following your plan, your multidimensional divine plan that's written in your birth chart. Okay, so those are very strong. Keep following that, Tammy. That knowing that you already had to be a writer and a teacher and an artist, clearly it's already strong in you because you're doing those things. Keep doing more. This is what the universe wants for you to do. Let's look at the other points. So one is the midheaven. The midheaven is the MC right here. You have that at 19 degrees of Aries. Aries is this forward moving energy. It is the pioneer energy. Aries is the one who will find a new way to get through the forest. Like the Aries person will see a path through the forest and say, that's not the best way. I know there's a better way. And we'll bushwhack and cut through and find the new path. And then everybody else will follow that new path because it really is the better one. All right. Aries is forging the new path, carving out the new path, because Aries has that visionary ability to say, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I know this is the way forward. So Tammy, that quality in yourself, if you have that, if you can feel that, it's really important to cultivate that. You are meant to be a leader. You are meant to be a pioneer that's leading people into a new place, into a new way of understanding reality, maybe a new way of living their lives. And so let me know in the chat, Tammy, do you feel that Aries energy, or is that something you want to cultivate more of? Because that's meant to be really strong for you. And that midheaven is the angle of career. That's your highest level contribution. So leading people on the new path is really strong and important for you. And then the third point that we'll look at in deciding, in clarifying your purpose is this North Node. So your North Node is down here at the bottom of your chart, and that is in Virgo. Now, again, the North Node is the direction our soul is pulling us toward in this lifetime. And with the North Node in Virgo, there are a couple different layers to Virgo. One layer is what we hear about a lot in the pop culture astrology, which is that Virgo people are very detail-oriented, very analytical, attention to detail. That's one layer. And so that's something that you're meant to work toward in this lifetime. It may not be something that you have already, okay, because often the North Node is like out of our comfort zone. So it's good to develop that. But there's a deeper layer here for you, Tammy. The constellation of Virgo is the priestess, all right? The constellation of Virgo is actually the priestess in the sky. She's the largest constellation out of all of them. She takes up far more than just 30 degrees of the zodiac. And so she is letting us know that this Virgo, the sign of Virgo in the astrology, is connected to the ancient priests and priestesses who were in the ancient temples, who were connecting with the ley lines of the earth, who were connecting with the stars above. And we're doing the ancient rituals and ceremonies to ensure the continuance of life, to honor life itself, to honor the earth and all of her beings. So there's something here for you in the North Node, Tammy, I would say, about evolving into work, maybe with a priestess lineage, or maybe in some way working with the sacred sites, working with the ley lines of the earth, doing work, or maybe your writing or your art or your teaching to help support and uplift life everywhere. Let me know if that resonates too. I would love to hear. And I hope that this is all very helpful for you, Tammy, in answering your esoteric question. Okay, and I'll wait for Tammy's answer to come in. Oh, so Tammy says, looking to write this summer, all things I love to do, 100%. And then later she said, wow, I feel it. Great. So glad you're feeling it. Yeah, do more of that writing, do more of the art, do more of the teaching, really allow yourself to have time for those, because they're going to guide you. They're going to be like your foundation, like your place that you get to create from everything else that you're meant to be doing at this time. Okay, wonderful. So I hope you have all enjoyed seeing these chart readings. It's been really fun to share them with you. And I want to invite all of you now to just join me for this really powerful statement that I call the alchemical prayer. And if you've been in courses with me, you're very familiar with this. This is a statement that I recommend, if you're comfortable, lift your arms up to the universe, okay, or to the sun as you say this prayer. And this is a statement that brings all kinds of miracles and magic into your life. So let's just say this together. Dear universe, please send me all of the things that I need the most, that I do not even yet know are possible. And this is such a powerful statement. So I hope you feel that in your heart. I recommend saying this 3 times a day, every day, and just open your heart and open your mind and watch as the miracles show up and the shifts and changes and new understandings and the healing that you've been most deeply needing begin to show up in your life. I want to invite you to share this video with your friends and family and colleagues who will be delighted to learn more about astrology and how it answers our esoteric questions. And I want to invite everybody to check out my upcoming course. I hope that many of you will join me for this amazing 7-week adventure that's starting on Wednesday, June 14th. Be sure to register by June 13th. So you can attend the first class live, okay? Or you can receive the recording right after we do it. My course is called Rewrite Your Own Mythology Using Ancient Egyptian Secrets of the Cosmos, Shamanic Journeying to Become the Powerful Architect of Your Immortal Destiny. And this is a powerful course where we're going to work with the ancient Egyptian Neteru, or gods and goddesses, to dive into your individual mythology. So what's happened for you in this lifetime? What were the moments of triumph? What were the moments of great wounding? And what's also happened for you in previous lifetimes? And how can we find the thread? How can we find the mythology of you, the storyline where you can see how you are the hero or heroine of your own hero's journey? And then we're going to work with that to rewrite the parts where maybe you took on an identity that's not serving you. Maybe you took on limiting beliefs that are not even true, but they've been running your life in some way. And we're going to shift out of those old patterns, out of those old belief structures, and rewrite your mythology in a powerful, courageous, and bold new way so that you can have confidence and ways of moving forward that you've never even experienced before. It's going to be so powerful, and it will all be fueled by our connection with ancient Egypt, the Neteru, gods and goddesses of Egypt, and the temples of Egypt. It will be like a virtual tour of Egypt and a healing adventure all in one. It's going to be amazing. So just go to ancientegyptcourse.com and you can see all of the course details and registration info right there. Join me. It's going to be so amazing. I can't wait to get started on Wednesday, on June 14th. I also want to make sure that you know that if you would like to have a one-on-one alchemical astrology reading where you can discover the deeper levels of your birth chart, you can find out your sun and north node and midheaven and what that means for you and is here to guide you in your purpose path. Or you can find out how to work with particular challenges in your life. What are the clues in your chart that can tell you how to overcome your biggest challenges? Find out why you're here. Find out why maybe you have always felt different from others, and learn the mythological storyline of your own birth chart. So to do that, go ahead and book your reading with Cynthia. And that is at the link I showed you earlier. It's at wearesacredplanet.com/alchemical-astrology-readings. I will put all of these links in the description field of the YouTube video as soon as it gets posted after we finish this live recording. So if you're watching it as a recording later, just check in the description field. You'll find all of this information right there. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for joining me for this first podcast episode. It's been really fun to share it with you. And I do want to just check back and see Tammy's comments. She says, beautiful. Wow. Yes. Amazing. Incredible. Jocelyn, so helpful. Thank you. Yay, Tammy. I'm so glad. So it's great to get that feedback. And it is just really so powerful with the astrology, how it can reveal to us and confirm for us these truths that maybe we already knew in our heart, but we were like afraid to take action on it, or we weren't totally sure. It can really confirm that in these beautiful ways. Okay, so be sure to stay tuned, hit subscribe, make sure that you are on the Sacred Planet podcast email list. That is at wearesacredplanet.com/podcast. Again, all these links will be below, so you'll receive notifications. Make sure to click like on this video so that it gets out to the world, so it goes the whole way around the world. And write in the comments, what speakers and what topics would you love to see on the Sacred Planet podcast going forward? Because I would love to know. Okay. Thank you so much for your beautiful comments, everybody. Thank you, Lisa and Lauren and Vicky and Carrie and Karen. Vicky, I'm so glad that this gave you hope again. I'm so glad. Yeah, really work with Isis. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so powerful for you. Yes, the statement. Let me put that up. That's what we'll close with, the alchemical alchemical prayer. Hold on one moment, and I'll put that right back up here. Dear universe, please send me all of the things that I need the most that I do not even yet know are possible. I will leave you all with that. Much love, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.